Way down there. Don't panic, it's not the light at the end of the tunnel. That's where that incline shaft is down. I'll be going by it. I'll try to slow up so you can see down in it after we go by. Then I have to open an air door, then we'll go to the stove. Now, does everybody feel comfortable?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nobody wants out? I hope not.
Drive faster.
No, the incline that's up here, that was hand dug. Yeah, my camera. And also the stump that we're going in, that was also hand dug by camera.
Ooh, ouch. Hmm?
Okay, if you get up on this side, follow me up to the steps.
Go ahead, Dad.
I'll let Grandpa get off first.
Oh, that's your phone. Eyeglass.
I am.
They're all through this mountain. Now this used to be a huge ore body of copper ore. When they first discovered it, they were coming through that tunnel up there, following the vein of silver. Then they hit this huge copper ore body.
Oh, that scared me.
The copper ore ran 25% per ton, which is very high grade copper ore. Almost unheard of. Very high grade. So, this was all solid rock at the time. So, they decided, well, let's see how big this ore body is. So they continued that tunnel right there, all the way across, over to the other side over there. Now pay no attention to him. He, this mine shut down in 1943, this part of the mountain.
He didn't get the word.
And he wouldn't leave, refused to leave. So, anyway, when they found out how big this ore body was, they went back down to that incline shaft we went by. They went 100 feet down that shaft. They cut another tunnel all the way back over here, where you see that light on down there. That's where they started mining the copper ore out. Now this was in 1878, so they had candles, and they hand drilled. They would hand drill 4 holes, 4 foot deep, blast those 4 holes, load that ore into a wheelbarrow, and wheelbarrow it down that tunnel to the incline shaft. It'd take them about 8 hours to drill out those 4 holes, and this is how they did it. They would start with a single jackhammer and a short bit, just like this. They'd start their hole, they would hit it, quarter turn, hit it, quarter turn, hit it, quarter turn, and that's how they drill. Once they got their hole deep enough, or collared they called it, they would go to a 3 foot bit and then eventually to a 5 foot bit. Now there was 2 miners that worked in here on day shift, 2 miners that worked in here on night shift. One miner would hold the bit, the other miner would swing the double jack. And they swing this thing for 8 hours. Pardon?
It's a lot of trust it takes to
A
hold
lot of trust, but also the next day, or the next shift, he was swinging the hammer and the other guy was holding the bit, so.
Payback.
If you ever, yeah, payback is hell.
12 hours away, yeah.
Now, I'll demonstrate, you wanna hold the bit for me?
Sure.
No.
I'm like so excited.
You don't want me swinging this thing.
I'm down.
I can't believe the amount of labor that was involved though in mining this out. Can you imagine working under candlelight and mining, drilling by hand? Those poor devils, they make 35 cents an hour, $3.50 a day. Of course, maybe back in 1878, that was pretty good money. I couldn't tell you, but the majority of all the mines in Bisbee had timber in it. And we used the square set system. The square set system was invented at the Comstock mine in Nevada in the late 1800s. So they started using the same system here. And if you turn around and look at that, that's a square set. All the timber notches together on top of the post. So it all fits together like a puzzle. Now, there was 3 different types of miners. Excuse me. There was 3 different types of miners that worked underground in Bisbee. There was the crosscut miner. He's the one that drove the horizontal tunnels, like the one we rode in on. Then there was a raised miner. He drove the tunnels straight up. And then there was a stope miner like myself. We'd come in and mine out the copper ore. Now when I worked underground, it was in the 70s, we had air drills, mucking machines to do a lot of work for us. But it was still hard work. Say for instance, we were mining in that direction. We'd have to drill enough holes to blast for another one of these square sets to fit in. So what we do, now we always blasted going off shift. So when we came to work, the night shift had blasted going off their shift. There'd be a big muck pile laying there and a blasted out area right there. We'd take these two hangers you see on the side, we'd hang one on one side across that girt or that beam up there, and another one on the other side. Then we had 12-foot long booms. They were 8x8 timber, they were 12-foot long, and we'd extend those booms out into that blasted area, out like that. Then the next step would be take the top ring of that timber and set out there on those booms and match it up with that square set on the other side. Now, after that, we'd take a laggin, or a bunch of laggin. This is a laggin, it's 2x12 by 5 foot, and we'd cover the roof, cover the ceiling, or the back, they called it. Then we'd block it all tight to the rock. Once we boomed out and caught the back, that made it safe for us to get into that blasted area and hook up for our mucking machine. Now, I'll show you one of those mucking machines farther back in the tour, but basically what it was a drag line. We'd hook up a block and tackle back inside there, run a cable through it, and hook it up to a big rake. And then that rake could go up over the ore pile and drag that ore out of there. Now, when I worked underground, the crosscut miner and the raised miner and the stope miner all work together. What they do is they bring down a diamond drill machine down into a tunnel. And that diamond drill machine was a core drill machine. So they take core samples out of the drilling and they drill holes all out in different directions looking for an ore body like this. Now, once they found an ore body, the crosscut miner would drive a tunnel underneath that ore body from the level below. Then the raise crew would come in and they'd drive a tunnel or a raise straight up to where that ore body was. Then, now one side of the raise would be an ore pocket, on the other side of the raise would be a manway so we could climb up and go to work, and a timber slide to get the timber up to where we were working. Now, after we hooked up our mucking machine and we blasted out that round, we would drag that ore over to the raise and drop it down that raise to a chute at the bottom where they'd load it into mine cars. Everybody get that?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's how we'd get our ore out. Now, the crosscut miner, he had a different way of getting his ore out, and I'll show you when we go farther back in the tour. In this mountain alone, just this mountain, there's over 150 miles of underground track and tunnel. Now, underground in Bisbee, there's 2,500 miles of underground track and tunnel, underground in this town. Now, over 97 years they mined here. At one time there was 29 mines that operated at the same time. They were all eventually bought out by Phelps Dodge. They own the whole thing. But over the 97 years, they produced 9 billion pounds of copper, 250 million ounces of silver, and 150 million ounces of gold came out of underground in Bisbee. At one time, it was considered the highest grade underground mine in the United States, and also the largest at one point. But over the 97 years, there was 384 fatalities. That was men that perished here. But
Is that considered low or high?
that's considered very low.
Yeah,
That's
what I figured.
That's a good safety record, actually. But they did leave a little bit of copper ore left. If you look right up there, see that green colored rock?
Yeah.
That's called malachite, and that runs, there's some azurite up there too, and that runs about 25% copper ore, high grade copper ore. Now, if you look over in this kind of amazes me, but in that little pocket right there, they tell me that There's malachite in the middle, which is the copper ore. There's magnesium, there's lead, and there's zinc in that little bucket. And that rust-colored stuff down below, that's called hematite. And that's where the microflakes of gold are found.
Mm-hmm.
And also right straight up above us here, see that area right in there? That's all copper ore that they left.
Why do you think they left it?
I think this area over here, it's low grade, it's not high grade.
Yeah.
It's kind of a lower grade of copper ore. They left that because they really didn't want it, I guess. I don't know. But you know, this stope right here used to be full of timber, just like the square sets, just like the picture here on the post. Now, this will give you an idea how the square set works. Everything fits together. Well, this whole stope was full of timber at one point. But once you mine, if you're mining through copper ore, sulfide ore, it has a tendency to cave. That's why you have to use the timber. But once you mine out the ore body and get up to the solid limestone rock up there, there's no reason for the timber to be here, really. It's not taking any weight. That timber protects you as you're mining that ore out. Now in 1920, there was a shortage of timber here in Bisbee. So they came back into these open stopes and took the timber out and used it elsewhere in the mine. So, any other questions?
They always drill 3 feet before they blast it.
No, normally when we drilled 7 foot deep, and it'd take about 28 to 30 holes to blast.
Yeah, but I'm talking in the old days. When
Yeah,
they did
about
this.
4 feet,
Okay,
because
okay.
it took 8 hours to get that 4
Right,
feet.
right,
So,
okay.
you know, they'd blast whatever holes they had. But normally it'd be around 4 holes, 4 foot deep, on average. Sometimes less, sometimes more, depending on rock. But I would have hated to be a miner back then. Just a lot of hard labor, what it was.
Well, it's hard anyways. When you guys did it,
Yeah,
we don't know what work is.
really, that's the truth.
Yeah. My dad was a miner for 40 years.
Was he? Mine was too, 40 years.
When you worked, did you do contract work?
No, we didn't do contract work, but my dad did.
We did.
He
Okay.
did, he sank some shafts in different parts of Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah. So. I just,
Have all the mines been explored?
this one has pretty.
No, but like, you said there were hundreds of thousands, or like thousands of miles of mines.
Well, there's 2,500 miles. There was, like I said, 29 mines that operated here.
Right.
When you count all those tunnels that they had, it adds up to 2,500 miles. Now, when they shut down in 1974, June 14th, 1974, there was 4 mines operating here in Bisbee. The mine I worked at went down 3,700 feet, and I worked on the 3,100 level. The coal mine, which that was the name of it, it wasn't coal, but the name of it was coal. It went down 1,500 feet. Then there was the Dallas mine, it went down 1,800 feet. And the Junction mine went down 3,100 feet. So you can imagine 3,100 or 3,700 feet down, and the tunnels ran out every 100 feet, where the stuff was slopes. So you can imagine why it was 2,500 miles. Now this mountain here, it kind of looks like Swiss cheese. There's hundreds of stopes just like this in this mountain. But we have explored a big part of it. But I'll tell you what, it's so dangerous to go back in that stuff.
That's what, yeah.
It's just, yeah. Now this tour here is probably the only safe place in the whole mountain, to tell you the truth. Other
That's good
than
to
our
know.
evacuation route. We do have an evacuation route, by the way, so don't panic if something happens.
Has anything like happened?
No, we've never even used that evacuation route. No.
Do you think that sorry, I'm asking so many questions.
No, that's
I'm just
okay.
a really curious person. Do you think that there's any like hauntings in here or anything?
Hauntings?
Yeah.
Well-
It is known to be kind of haunted.
Now, when
Whether
I
you
worked,
believe it or
when I
not.
worked underground, well, and there was a story about in this mountain, that there was a guy called Headless John's ghost was lived here. They called him Headless John because he was looking down a shaft one day and the cage came down and chopped his head off. Now that's all speculation, but all the miners around here, they kind of said that Headless John's ghost was still in here. You know, but go figure. Now, I did wonder when I saw that picture of this rock right here. That kind of looks like Headless John to me. I don't know. See, he's staring at you right now. Now, do you hear that rumble up there?
No, I've been wondering, what is that?
I don't know.
What is it? I
It's
really
not a good sign, is it?
I don't know.
No. Now, up,
I wanted to know
up
about
above,
that.
on the side of the mountain, there's a big 50-foot fan set up there. And it blows down into this mine. And all that fresh air it picks up goes right down through the stope and down into that tunnel down there. And that air door that I opened up,
Yeah, it was so cool.
we shut that when the train goes through to force that fresh air back to where the tour goes.
Cool.
So, no worries, we're okay. Even with Headless John, without him.
I'm happy about Headless
Yeah.
John.
Are you?
Yeah.
You're
Cool.
something else.
Just add it to the list of entertaining things.
Yeah.
Exactly. Makes life fun.
Yeah.
Any other questions? No? Let's get back on the train and go further back into the mine.
That's funny.
I was gonna say, do you let people turn off the lights?
Oh,
Can't
they
they?
were good. I was like, I can't
That
believe
would
you
be-
worked
We
in
try to keep the homeless out here.
No, I just-
That would be interesting. Now, when the tour first started, they used to walk in and walk out. And then get back to the back and have everybody turn off their lights.
See you later, folks.
You couldn't see it, man, clear in your face. Yeah. But now that they got all these lights around, they'll probably give you a good idea of how they work.
Oh, just garbage. Could you throw that away for me? Oh, no, you're fine.
No, she's some garbage, she said.
Okay, garbage.
You too.
Hannah,
I want the backs.
I want to get. Climb on first.